whole town seems on edge since Boss Finn started throwing his weight around. Have you noticed?
I've noticed that you seem concerned.
Shouldn't I be? Roxanne's bark was always worse than her bite. Corsac was more misanthropic than malicious. But something about this guy feels different, Owl. What if I don't have what it takes?
I wouldn't worry about that. I'm certain you're more than capable and... Well, it's awful that you're in this situation, that's for certain. For certain, but really, it isn't anyone's fault, per se, and... Wait, what was the question again?
What's going on with you? You seem less articulate than usual.
Well, I don't like seeing you this way. I suppose I've grown accustomed to your bravado. It's made it easier to ignore the full gravity of your situation. A situation for which I'm, well, partly to blame. Just a little.
How so?
Oh, you must have guessed by now, or at least suspected. My name. My true name. It isn't an owl. It's... Oswald.
What? Uncle Oswald? It's really you, isn't it?
I'm afraid so.
But how? How is that possible?
It's quite a story, but most of what I've told you is true. My debt had grown beyond my control. I was desperate for money. So I set out for Maven's castle, and I made it, Sylvia. Thanks to my potions, I was the first in decades to set foot there. But I set that foot right in a booby trap, some strange runic circle, charged with transmogrifying magics. One moment, I was a handsome, broad-shouldered gentleman with a winning smile and quite tall.
Good grief.
And the next moment, I was... this. I was horrified and confused. I could think of nothing else but how to undo my transformation. I fled that place and returned to the shop. And that's when I realized everyone believed I was dead. Everyone, including a certain debt collector. And despite my unusual circumstances, I breathed a sigh of relief because I finally felt safe.
How nice for you. Less great for me, though.
Putting you in my will, I thought I was doing a good thing. A generous thing. I didn't think it through. You must know that's true. As desperate as I was, I never would have chosen to burden you with all this.
Then you should have told me this sooner. You should have been honest. And you definitely should have spoken up when Helena came for me.
You're right. You're right about that. I regret my inaction at that moment, Sylvia, more than I can say.
If I were smart, I'd turn you over to her right now. This debt is your responsibility. I shouldn't even be in this mess. But I've invested so much in this shop. It's mine now. And I won't let Helena repossess it over your breach of contract.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for not handing me over to her, for giving me another chance.
I didn't say anything about giving you another chance. The last thing I need around here is a business partner who's been lying to my face, Owl.
But Sylvia...
I'm going to beat Boss Finn. I'm going to pay off this debt to save myself and my shop from the clutches of the bank. And I'm going to do it on my own. No big deal, though. It turns out in every way that matters. I've been on my own from the start.
No, that isn't... I understand. I suppose I'll give you some space.
Can you sense it in the air? Grand things are afoot. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that tomorrow is the beginning of a bold new era for the Heroes Guild.
Okay, I'll bite. What's up?
Ice cream first, my Duchess. Then business. I always order the newest flavor. In fact, I think I've become something of a guinea pig for the ice cream maker. I'm certain I was the only one in town who ordered the Stingray Surprise.
That's brave of you.
More brave than you realize. My mother might disown me if she knew. She's the heiress to the world's largest vanilla dynasty. In my family, chocolate is forbidden. Strawberry is sacrilege. I'll admit not every flavor is a winner, but I've had enough vanilla for a lifetime. And now that we're dating, you can have a taste of my dessert whenever you're curious. I'd even pick the stingers out for you first.
Such a gentleman.
Guilty as charged. But enough about ice cream. I lured you here with the promise of news. I believe I finally found a solution to my dilemma. A way to alleviate some of the financial stress burdening my heroes. Or have you figured it out already?
Are you reducing the guild's cut? That would allow them to bring more of what they bring in.
I would surely like to do that. But we talked about this before, do you remember? Our stakeholders, that is my parents, have set the rates. And they keep a close eye on what comes in and what goes out. I might get away with it for a month or two, but then I'd be dragged out of here. And likely replaced with someone far less sympathetic.
Okay, I'll bite. What's your idea?
I'll tell you! It's education, Sylvia! Starting tomorrow, I shall be giving a series of lectures aimed at demystifying venture capitalism. Therefore, empowering my people to grow their capital through the judicious application of first-class investment strategies.
Oh boy.
I know, it's a mouthful, but don't worry. I'll be peppering the seminar with ribald jokes just to keep them interested.
Listen, sweetie.
Uh-oh. I like the term of endearment, but not the inflection you gave it.
The thing about investing money is that you have to have money to invest. It's a great way to make the rich richer, but for those of us struggling just to get by...
Oh, I see. All the investment tips in the world won't help if you don't have two coins to rub together. What a shame. I was so looking forward to leading a seminar. Although this might explain why the sign-up sheet remains empty.
I'd be up for hearing your ribald jokes.
I haven't written any yet. Locker room talk isn't my strength. But I did take the time to draft up a new coupon for you. I trust that effort, at least, was not wasted.
Well, this definitely alleviates my financial burdens.
Nice to know I still have some good ideas. It's within my power to fix the guild's problems, Sylvia. I'm sure of that. But I am baffled on the how of it. I clearly have some more thinking to do, but I have figured out one thing. You are a wonderful sounding board. And I don't take that for granted. Not for a moment. And not one bit.
Nice day for a shopping spree, isn't it? I don't really need anything, but maybe I'll see something I can't resist. In addition to you, I mean.
I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Do I seem a little manic? I probably do. You've got to understand, back home, I never got to do stuff like this. I couldn't leave my house without being mobbed by fans and photogs. Forget about a shopping trip, there'd have been a riot. I feel ridiculous complaining about it. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but it's a lot sometimes. I'm glad I decided to go incognito while in Rafta.
You always stand out in a crowd, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, good. I wouldn't want to lose you in the throng. But maybe I'll hold on tight, just in case. And for the record, it's not like I want to fade into the background. I just want a little distance between myself and my brand, I guess. My professional image is cookie cutter clean. But out here, well, my stylist isn't around to tell me what not to wear.
I prefer to make my own fashion choices, even when they're bad ones.
Totally. There's some things a person should get to decide for herself. Back home, it wasn't just my clothes or hair that were out of my control. Before this little sabbatical, my record label had final say over what I ate, where I went, who I spent time with. I'm telling you, Sylvia, they micromanaged my whole life, all in an effort to maximize my appeal to the widest possible audience. It's nice to get a break from all that, to explore my own style.
And write your own music.
Yes, exactly that. It's sort of all related, isn't it? Choosing your own look, the face you present to the world, and singing your own words. Words you believe. It's all self-expression. Find your rhythm, and people will hear what you're really trying to say.
That's a tip I can tap my foot to.
I hope you'll be swaying along to my original composition soon.
So the writing's going well?
Yeah, I've gotten to the part in the story where our hero needs to lean on someone else. I could introduce an animal helper, or have our hero enlist the aid of a great magician. Which trope do you like best?
Helpful mage. You can't go wrong leaning on the supernatural.
If it's magic you want, it's magic you shall have. As for me, I want footwear, I think. Did you see? There's a whole booth over there just for shoes.
I saw a pair of boots with some pretty severe spikes. I think they might suit you. But you should be the judge of that.
You've got me figured out pretty well, haven't you? Come on, let's both try on a pair.
Sorry to chase you away, but I'm about to head down to the beach.
Can I join you?
I mean, you can. But I'll be marking turtle nests to keep them from getting trampled. Not what most people would call a good time.
Are you kidding? Compared to facing another onslaught of demanding customers, it sounds like a dream vacation. Come on, show me what you get up to in your spare time.
This is the spot.
Thanks for offering a steadying hand back there. That is a steep slope. But how are your hands so soft? Do you moisturize?
Oh, it's all new skin. I had to grow it back after a run-in with a corrosive corgi. Navigating a steep slope isn't so hard, though. Just need decent boots. Having the right gear is always essential. Gotta be prepared for anything.
That's doubly true when you're dealing with customers.
Ain't that the truth? Now, let's get started here. I've got everything we need. See it? That's a nest. Sea turtles lay their eggs in the sand, where they're vulnerable to careless footfalls and errant volleyballs. Not on my watch. We gotta let people know where the nests are.
Yes! Save the turtles! Let's do it.
Enthusiasm's good, but don't get too close to any of the mothers. They have powerful flippers and they know how to use them. It's why this particular species is known as the slapping turtle.
Noted. I'll keep my distance.
Those women appear to have depleted their stamina. And despite all that talk of being prepared, I'm fresh out of restorative potions. I may need to carry them to safety.
Don't you dare! They're just enjoying themselves.
By lying prone on the ground? I'd be worried about aerial predators. Maybe that's just me.
It's just you.
Suppose my time in the wild left me extra vigilant.
Have you really spent that much time out in nature?
I have.
Were you raised by wolves?
Nothing like that. Although, I did learn a fair bit from the wombats.
So? Tell me about it.
Well, if you're gonna be insistent, my folks were nomadic. Belonged to a clan of a few dozen souls. We rarely stayed in one place for long. Moved with the weather. Followed the food. Never left a permanent mark on the land. And never took more than the land could spare. But truth be told, even among my family, I was an outlier.
How so?
Little ways at first. When the others gathered around the fire at night, I'd offer to stand watch, sort of set myself apart. Soon started feeling more kinship for the animals than the people. Even let a few animals get away while on the hunt. Meals we could sorely afford to miss. One day, I was sent to scout ahead, and I just sort of kept going. Always meant to stop and set down roots somewhere, at least for a little while. Just never really got around to doing it.
Well, you're back in civilization now. You can afford to let your guard down a little. Although, come to think of it, I've never really seen you relax.
Too much to do. I wouldn't know where to begin.
How about a massage? I could work out some of that tension.
Being touched generally makes me more tense, not less. Although, you do look to have powerful hands.
Thanks. Take it from me. You've got to find ways to relax, or the stress of the city will eat you alive. In a place like this, you can only go so far on your knowledge of sandworms and squirrels and slapping turtles.
Sylvia, I would never slap a turtle. Sorry, just some naturalist humor.
Oh boy.
I hear what you're saying, and I'll ponder it. But in my heart, I know I'm not the type to be idle. I can appreciate the sea air and the feeling of sand beneath my feet. But I can help out these turtles at the same time.
Fair enough. It's definitely a nice break from my shop, just like I hoped. And hey, maybe we'll get lucky and see some of these eggs hatch while we're here.
Oh, I wouldn't wish for that. The babies are vicious little beasts, and they go right for your weak points. Believe me when I say you do not want to get turtle tapped.
And the beach is ruined for me. Thanks.
Supply run! But first things first. Let's get some ice cream. We'll even pay for it instead of stealing. Out of respect for your chosen profession.
That's big of you.
Pretty big, yeah. I only hope that this place finally took my feedback and has expanded its flavor offerings accordingly. I don't know why they didn't have seafood flavor ice cream to begin with. It's like a no-brainer.
I think you're out of luck. I don't see anything seafoody.
And I don't smell it.
Fine, we'll just stick with plain.
Plain? Do you mean vanilla?
Nah, vanilla's a flavor, isn't it? I mean plain, milk flavored.
The way Katuna intended. So good.
Oh, so good! And you just can't get this on the high seas? I guess there's gotta be some kind of trade-off, right? Otherwise, I don't see the appeal. If I spent as much time on land as you lubbers do, I'd just be pissed off all the time.
So no change, really.
Ah, Captain Peanut Gallery over there. But you know the best part of life on the high seas?
The freedom is appealing. The idea that you could just lift anchor and go anywhere.
Yeah, that ain't bad. But it's not like we don't have ties that bind us. Nah, the best part is, you're always with your mates. Your crew's your family. And you get to take them with you wherever you go. It's why we take this blood brother process so seriously. We gotta really put the screws to you. Make sure you're not the type to spill your sand at the first sign of trouble.
What does spill your sand mean? I'm not familiar.
It's a pirate thing.
Each of us carries a vial of sand, Sylvia. The sand is collected from the beach on which we're born.
Yeah, mostly we spend our whole lives on ships. But when a litter's about to be born, we try and find a cozy patch of sand somewhere. Birthing is a messy business. Better to do it in nature's litter box than have to swab the decks with bleach. And carrying some of that sand out to sea with us feels meaningful.
That's a cool custom. Sort of like taking a little piece of home with you.
Yes and no. It's not like the beach is our real home and the ship is a replacement. I think of it this way. The sand connects us with the place of our birth. But it's not like an anchor. It's more like a reminder that we can take the important stuff with us. Home ain't a static place if you follow. And now that you know our secrets, we gotta kill ya!
Wait. You're just seeing if I'll spill my sand.
And demonstrating another pirate haggling hack. You can't show him no weakness, Sylvia. No quarter.
All right. No quarter will be given.
You got spirit for a landlubber. Whoa. And I've got indigestion.
Me too.
Oh, why does this happen with the ice cream? Every time? You think they're trying to poison us? Like that sushi place that time?
Is it possible you're lactose intolerant?
what that means, but I ain't known for my tolerance, so probably.
We need to find a litter box.
Oh, yeah, you and me both. We'll see you around, Sylvia. Hot tip. You might want to steer clear of this area for a good 20 minutes or so.
I've earned a treat. I think you've earned one too.
I do like ice cream.
Then you shall have it, darling. Just let me do the talking.
What was that?
That was the performance of a lifetime. And if you haven't yet tried the emotional minefield technique, you very much should.
I'll practice it. But first, ice cream. What's on your mind?
Oh, just mulling over some of my recent accomplishments. As of this morning, I've submitted all the paperwork and fees required for my business license. Now all that remains is to schedule my exam.
I've heard that test is pretty tough.
To which I say, bring it on. If I feared a challenge, I never would have ended up here.
How did you end up here? I don't think you've ever said.
It wasn't because of any inheritance, I can tell you that much. As a girl, I had an insatiable interest in the surface world, inspired by the bits of debris that made their way down from the human cities above. Empty flasks and loose change, bootlaces and hair ribbons, I'd pore over all of it. But my favorites were the magazines. They were full of images of beautiful women living lives of glamour and luxury. They made it all seem so very attainable. And though there were no demons pictured in those perfumed pages, well, my powers of illusion were second to none. So I decided to ascend. I left a note for my parents and took off into the night. But the surface world was not what I had expected. Those with more money than they could ever need can use their money as a sort of lure, trapping others in an endless cycle of toil, hope, and obligation, all while increasing their own wealth naturally. Faster than I would have thought possible, I went from having nothing to having less than nothing. I was in debt, deep, dangerous, demoralizing debt, and I realized I always would be. So long as I continued to play by the rules of rich men.
Wow, Roxanne, I had no idea.
Yes, generally I prefer it that way. But something about you makes me want to come clean. It's probably your big bovine eyes. Anyway, now you know how I ended up running cons on the streets of Rafta.
I've had it rough too. I know you think my inheritance was a real windfall, but I've felt the crushing weight of debt. I feel it right now.
But you didn't start with nothing, did you? You had something of a leg up from the start.
It's hard to keep that perspective when it feels like I'm one bad day from losing everything.
Fair enough. No one's life is without its challenges. I suppose we both had to learn that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
You're every bit as good as advertised, I bet.
Well, I certainly haven't received any complaints yet.
I have a minor complaint, actually. You haven't touched your ice cream, and now it's all melted.
Oh, good. This is how I prefer it, you see. Ice cream headaches are my greatest vulnerability.
Wow. We must really be friends if you're telling me your weaknesses.
Weakness, singular. You're welcome to look for more than one, but I don't like your odds, dear.
I had something a little different in mind for today. Since we're dating, I figure I can finally reveal one of my most closely guarded secrets.
This ought to be good.
Oh, it's good. I'm talking about my secret recipe for tree sap whiskey.
Tree sap whiskey? I didn't even know that was possible.
It's possible, and it's delicious. A cat by the name of Sugar entrusted the recipe to me. He was one of my companions, the rogue of the group, and our captain when we were on the water. His damage output was matched only by his alcohol tolerance, and tree sap whiskey was his favorite. He used to say it had more kick than an angry centimule.
I'm sold. Where do we start?
Well, the first thing we've got to do is ask a tree for permission to tap it.
So you weren't joking before. You can talk to the trees.
In truth, it's less about talking and more about listening. Trees are constantly communicating. They send out signals to other trees about environmental hazards. And each tree's leaves and bark hold a treasure trove of information about its health and history. We've just got to find an ambrosia tree of moderate age that has plentiful sap and a genial nature. Thank you for your generosity, proud sentinel of the wood. I'll patch you up when we're done. Sylvia, we just have to wait until that bucket's full. Then we can head back to my place.
I'm glad you're here to show me the way. I'm totally turned around.
I forget some people struggle to navigate the woods. Personally, I know the area even better than I know the precise arrangement of freckles on your shoulders.
So, pretty well then.
Yeah, I've made a thorough study of both, but I could always take a closer look.
Seriously though, don't all the trees kind of look the same?
They do not. Not if you're paying attention. This forest contains pines, oaks, gloam willows, all grouped in unique arrangements.
I guess I've only got eyes for you. How's a forest supposed to compete?
Flatterer. I only hope the forest doesn't get jealous of your attentions. A place like this has teeth and a long memory. But all right, let's set the trees aside for a moment. If what you see is not enough to help you get your bearings, there are other senses you can rely upon. Notice the tang of sea salt on the air. Feel the sponginess of the moss beneath our hooves. This particular spot of woodland is a spot like no other. And this is what I really mean when I talk about mindfulness, Sylvia. It's not just about shutting out the stress. It's about what you choose to take in. It's about being truly present.
I think I follow you. I know I could be better about living in the moment. It's a struggle when there are bills to pay.
Let me ease your burden a bit, Cherry Blossom.
You're sweet. And that does help. Thanks. Some whiskey might help too. Is it almost ready?
Oh, I'm afraid I may have given you the wrong impression. This process takes several decades. But the anticipation is part of the pleasure. Take these next 30 years to prepare your senses. And in the meantime, I've got some cheap moonshine stashed away in one of these tree hollows, I think.
Your arrival is like the dawn itself. Begone, darkness, for Sylvia has arrived! I am a lucky walrus indeed.
I like a warm welcome. Never a fan of the dawn, though. Given the choice, I'd rather sleep in.
That is a choice I cannot condone! Our time is too precious to be spent on repose.
Nobody can be productive 24/7. That's a recipe for burning out.
I do not believe that idleness is a cure for burnout. I think instead it is a symptom. But I do agree that it is necessary to sometimes step away from forge and canvas. And that is why I make time for pulp novels, gossip, and you. In truth, I had an outing in mind for today.
You know me. I'm up for anything.
We are close now. It is just up ahead.
All this for me?
In truth, I worry the gesture is not large enough. And I cannot take credit for the frozen lake. It is an uncanny and awe-inspiring feature of the landscape. This forest contains many such oddities. A hero shared the location with me in exchange for sharper weapons and a masterful shield. For now, it remains largely secret, but word will get out. Some enterprising raftin will no doubt find a way to monetize it. Let us enjoy it before this happens. Yes? This recreational activity is much loved where I'm from. Come, let me show you how it's done.
It almost feels like flying without a broom. That was incredible.
I am glad that you enjoy it. But no date would be complete without a gift.
You're spoiling me, and I like it.
If you will pardon the expression, today is only the tip of the iceberg. My people guided by the wisdom and the will of our ancestors, have created such splendor all across this world. The Kowalris of Rhodes, the Penny Pyramids, Toscange. All are sights that I wish to see one day, that I must see. And I very much wish to share those experiences with you.
First Rafta, then the world?
Exactly that. And yet, there is no rush, is there? With you by my side, I wish to cherish each moment. Come, take my flipper in your hand, and let us take another spin around the ice.